Good evening, and welcome to our program. Tonight, we delve into a contentious issue that sits at the intersection of social policy, public finance, and individual liberties. The central question we are exploring is, should individuals be required to pass drug tests to receive government assistance? This debate often highlights a tension between ensuring the responsible use of taxpayer funds and upholding the rights and dignity of those seeking support, while also considering the most effective ways to help vulnerable populations. Joining us to discuss this are two distinguished guests with differing perspectives. Arguing in favor of mandatory testing is Mr. David Chen, and presenting the arguments against such policies is Dr. Sarah Jenkins, a respected expert in social policy. We anticipate a thoughtful and informative exchange. Let's begin with opening statements. Mr. Chen, you have the floor first.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Good evening. The question before us is fundamentally about stewardship and responsibility. Government assistance programs are funded by taxpayers, hardworking citizens, who trust that their contributions are being used effectively and for their intended purpose, providing a crucial safety net for those genuinely in need. It is therefore entirely reasonable, I believe, to implement measures that safeguard these funds. Mandatory drug testing serves as a mechanism to ensure that financial assistance intended for essentials like food, housing, and healthcare isn't inadvertently diverted to support substance abuse habits. We cannot ignore the reality that drug addiction can hinder an individual's ability to regain self-sufficiency. By identifying potential substance abuse issues through testing, we create an opportunity, perhaps even an imperative, for intervention. This isn't primarily about punishment. It's about promoting personal responsibility. It can act as a catalyst for individuals struggling with addiction to acknowledge their situation and seek the treatment necessary to get back on their feet, ultimately benefiting both the individual and society. Furthermore, there's an element of fairness to consider. Many employment sectors require pre-employment or random drug screening. Is it unreasonable to expect a similar level of accountability from individuals receiving ongoing financial support from the public purse? Implementing drug testing upholds the integrity of our welfare system. It sends a clear message that public assistance is a serious commitment, intended to support constructive life choices, not to enable destructive behaviors. It's about ensuring help reaches those who need it, for the right reasons.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Good evening. While Mr. Chen raises points about fiscal responsibility, I must argue strongly against mandatory drug testing for government assistance recipients. Such policies are not only ineffective and extraordinarily costly, but also deeply discriminatory and ethically problematic. Let's look at the evidence. Numerous studies from states and programs that have implemented these requirements consistently show extremely low rates of positive drug tests among applicants and recipients, often lower than the rates found in the general population. This clearly indicates the policy targets a problem that is not significantly more prevalent among this group than any other. The financial implications are substantial. The costs associated with administering potentially millions of tests, managing the results, handling appeals, and defending against inevitable legal challenges are enormous. These are resources that could be far more effectively invested in proven poverty reduction strategies, job training, affordable housing, or, indeed, accessible voluntary substance abuse treatment programs. Furthermore, these policies unfairly stigmatize and stereotype people experiencing poverty. They perpetuate the harmful and unfounded myth that individuals requiring financial assistance are somehow inherently more likely to abuse drugs. This is discriminatory and damages the dignity of people already facing significant hardship. From a legal standpoint, mandatory suspicionless drug testing raises serious constitutional questions regarding privacy and protection against unreasonable searches. Requiring individuals to submit to bodily fluid analysis simply because they need help crosses a fundamental line. Our focus should be on addressing the root causes of poverty and addiction through comprehensive, evidence-based support systems. This means offering robust, voluntary, and confidential treatment options, mental health care, and pathways to stable employment, not implementing punitive, costly, and ineffective screening measures that punish people for being poor.
Mr. Chen, Dr. Jenkins raises concerns about cost and effectiveness. Could you elaborate on the practical side? How exactly would you envision such a system working logistically? For instance, who would bear the financial burden of the testing itself? And what precisely should happen if someone tests positive? Is the proposal an immediate cutoff of all benefits, or are there other steps involved?
Those are valid practical questions, Ms. Reed. Logistically, several models could be considered. Testing could occur upon initial application for certain types of long-term assistance, or perhaps through a system of random testing for ongoing recipients to ensure continued compliance. Regarding the cost, I view it not as an expense but as an investment. An investment in ensuring that billions of dollars in aid are used appropriately. The cost of testing needs to be weighed against the potential cost of subsidizing addiction, which includes healthcare costs, criminal justice involvement, and lost productivity. As for the consequences of a positive test, I don't necessarily advocate for an immediate punitive cutoff in all cases. A more constructive approach might involve requiring the individual to enroll in and actively participate in a state-approved substance abuse treatment program as a condition for continued eligibility. This shifts the focus from mere detection to active recovery, aligning with the goal of helping individuals achieve self-sufficiency. Failure to comply with treatment could then lead to suspension of benefits.
If I may, Ms. Reed, while linking benefits to mandatory treatment sounds less punitive, the practicalities remain challenging. Treatment effectiveness often relies on voluntary participation. Coerced treatment has questionable outcomes, and monitoring compliance adds another layer of costly bureaucracy. Furthermore, is there adequate treatment capacity available, especially in under-resourced areas? Tying essential survival aid to potentially unavailable or ineffective mandatory programs seems problematic.
Dr. Jenkins, you've clearly outlined your objections to mandatory testing. Mr. Chen's core concern, however, revolves around accountability for taxpayer funds and addressing potential substance abuse that might hinder self-sufficiency. If mandatory testing isn't the answer, what alternative approaches do you propose to address these concerns effectively, ensuring that assistance programs achieve their goals without enabling substance abuse?
Thank you. The alternative lies in shifting from a model of suspicion and control to one of support and empowerment. We need to strengthen the social safety net holistically, addressing the underlying issues that may contribute to both poverty and substance misuse. This means significantly increasing investment in and access to voluntary, confidential, and evidence-based addiction treatment programs. These services should be readily available to anyone who needs them, regardless of their income or assistance status, and crucially, not tied to benefit eligibility. Alongside treatment, we need robust mental health services, affordable housing initiatives, accessible childcare, job training tailored to current market needs, and financial literacy counseling. These are the tools that truly empower individuals to overcome challenges, including addiction, and build stable lives. Accountability can be fostered through case management that focuses on achieving goals like employment or education, rather than through invasive bodily tests. When people feel supported and have genuine opportunities, they are far more likely to make positive choices.
With respect, Dr. Jenkins, while those support systems are undoubtedly important, are voluntary measures truly sufficient? If an individual is diverting funds meant for their children's food towards drugs, relying solely on their voluntary choice to seek help might not adequately protect the vulnerable or address the misuse of public money in a timely manner. Doesn't the state have a fiduciary duty to ensure funds are used as intended? Thank you. Throughout this discussion, my position has remained grounded in principles I believe most taxpayers share: responsibility, accountability, and the prudent use of public resources. Government assistance is a vital lifeline, but it comes with the expectation that it will be used for its designated purpose, supporting basic needs and facilitating a return to independence. Mandatory drug testing is a tool, one tool among others, to help ensure this expectation is met. It acts as a deterrent to the misuse of funds and helps identify individuals who may need intervention to overcome addiction, an obstacle that profoundly hinders self-sufficiency. Dr. Jenkins has raised concerns about costs and low positive test rates. While the upfront costs are real, I argue they represent a necessary investment in the integrity of the system. We must also consider the long-term societal costs of untreated addiction that may be indirectly subsidized by welfare funds. And while positive test rates might be low in some studies, I would argue that even a small percentage represents a significant issue when dealing with potentially billions of dollars in aid and the well-being of families. Is any level of taxpayer money being diverted to fund illegal drug use acceptable? I believe most would say no. This is not about punishing poverty, as critics often claim. It is about fairness to the taxpayers who fund these programs and expect accountability. It's about ensuring that the system designed to help people isn't inadvertently enabling a problem that prevents them from escaping hardship. Linking testing with mandatory treatment options, as I suggested earlier, transforms it from a purely punitive measure into a potential pathway towards recovery. It upholds the principle that receiving public support involves a degree of reciprocal responsibility. Ultimately, implementing drug testing requirements strengthens public trust in assistance programs. It demonstrates a commitment to ensuring that aid effectively serves its intended purpose, providing temporary support and encouraging pathways back to self-reliance and positive life choices. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chen speaks of responsibility and integrity, but I contend that mandatory drug testing for assistance recipients undermines these very principles by promoting policies that are ineffective, wasteful, and fundamentally unjust. Let's be clear about the evidence. These programs do not effectively identify widespread drug use among the poor. They cost taxpayers millions, diverting precious resources from initiatives that actually work, like affordable housing, job creation, and accessible healthcare, including voluntary addiction treatment. The low hit rates demonstrate this isn't a targeted solution but an expensive fishing expedition based on prejudice. The argument about fairness to taxpayers is misleading and dangerous. It implies that receiving government assistance automatically makes one suspect. It creates a discriminatory two-tiered system where citizens facing economic hardship are subjected to invasive bodily searches and scrutiny that are not demanded of other recipients of government funds, like students receiving loans, farmers receiving subsidies, or corporations receiving tax breaks. This is fundamentally unfair. Addiction is a complex public health issue, not a moral failing confined to people experiencing poverty. It affects individuals across all socioeconomic strata. Treating it as an eligibility barrier for survival assistance is counterproductive. It punishes vulnerability and pushes individuals further into the margins, making recovery even harder to achieve. Denying food assistance or housing support because of a positive drug test doesn't cure addiction. It creates deeper desperation. We must resist the urge to scapegoat the poor for complex societal problems. Instead of spending money on invasive tests rooted in suspicion, let's invest in opportunity. Let's fund robust, community-based, voluntary treatment programs that meet people where they are, without preconditions tied to their basic survival needs. True responsibility lies in crafting policies based on evidence, compassion, and a commitment to human dignity. Let us focus our resources on proven strategies that reduce poverty and support recovery, rather than on punitive measures that stigmatize, discriminate, and ultimately fail to achieve their stated goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chen and Dr. Jenkins, for a comprehensive and spirited debate on this complex and often emotional topic. You've clearly articulated the core conflict, Mr. Chen emphasizing the need for fiscal accountability and taxpayer trust in how assistance funds are used, potentially linking aid to responsible behavior and treatment, and Dr. Jenkins highlighting concerns about cost-effectiveness, potential discrimination, privacy rights, and advocating for support-based rather than punitive approaches to poverty and addiction. It's evident that finding a solution involves navigating difficult financial, ethical, and practical considerations, with significant implications for both public policy and the individuals affected. We hope this discussion has provided our audience with valuable insights into the different facets of this issue. Thank you for joining us. Good evening.